you by Pfizer.
In this video, you're going to see the future.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks so much for joining us today on what seems like, for me at least, an extraordinary and unusual situation. Out that window, is that Mar or Lago? That's Mar out there, isn't it? That's Mar right there. Over there is Lago. Wherever you are watching us, you might be watching us on X, you might be watching us on YouTube, or maybe our great home, Rumble. And if you don't have Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now, because then you get access to our additional content. And you never know what additional content we'll be making here today, live from Mar-a-Lago, which is, I've got to say, it's like being in Disney World. It's extraordinary. It's overstimulating. There's Secret Service everywhere. Obviously, for understandable reasons, 2 attempts on the president's life, a kind of ongoing global antagonism, the sense that we could be on the precipice of something extraordinary and important. I'm told at the moment he's out playing golf. He stops mid-golf and has like lunch mid-golf, then he continues, then he returns. I mean, it's just so astonishing to be here. Even if you regarded Donald Trump with the highest level of antipathy imaginable, what you couldn't deny is that this is a fascinating man at a fascinating time. One of the stories we'll talk about later is his sort of audacious bid to get China and Russia to slash their military spending by 50%, a story that's peculiarly gone over the radar. And one of the themes of today is left versus right. There are these extraordinary areas where radicals from the left and radicals from the right are starting to agree on a variety of subjects. For example, the New York Times took J.D. Vance apart for something he said in his speech. And we've got a brilliant bit of writing by Aaron Maté, who's as left as left can be. Like, he's Jewish and pro-Palestine, and yet he contests the New York Times' take on the J.D. Vance speech. We've got stuff like that. But before we get into it, and before we get into sort of who knows what extraordinary things will happen at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, it's difficult for me not to look in this direction as the Atlantic Ocean crashes while people carry on with their vacations. The extraordinariness of this place and this time. What is this? Let's work it all out together. Right, so we'll start off. We're going to be with you wherever you're watching. We'll stay with you for about half an hour. Then we're going to be exclusively on Rumble. Then we're going to do an additional hour on Rumble Premium because there's just so much to talk about. Let me know in the comments and chat what particularly interests you, and we're going to try and get through all of it. We're going to do some silly, dumb stuff at first, soppy stories, Wikipedia, because it's really funny. Like, Wikipedia are campaigning to raise money, and Musk says, "I'll give you $1 billion if you change your name to Wikipedia." Imagine if you were actually charged with raising those funds. You'd have to at least consider, oh God, are we going to have to change it to Wikipedia? Doesn't that undermine everything we're doing? This is the mad trickster mentality that's been unleashed in, you have to say, mainstream politics as a result. You can come off that now, darling. But then we're going to be talking about, there's so much to talk about with Ukraine. There's the UK's pledge through Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, that he's going to send peacekeepers to Ukraine to keep peace. But to keep peace when there's already a war means participate in a war. And while there might be claims made, well, they'll be in non-combat roles, well, they'll only be in non-combat roles. Don't you remember all of this kind of rhetoric before, like in the Iraq War? Aren't you sort of sick and tired of these glistening turds, of this claptrap and crap that they unload upon us? So we're going to be covering that. Let me know if you're interested in the UK's pledge to lend, boots on the ground at a time where negotiations are beginning in Saudi Arabia. There are peace talks between Russia and America. And what I like about that is I like the no more bullshit approach. That's it. Let's stop pretending this isn't a proxy war between Russia and America. Let's not pretend that Ukraine can continue without NATO support and without US financing and military support. If that's a prerequisite for the perpetuation of the conflict, then who ultimately is fighting and who ultimately is paying for it? Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about that. We'll be talking about the US's new position on Ukraine and the peace talks. Also, the idea that like Trump is regarded as a warmonger when he sort of more than Biden, more than any sort of president in memory, is seeking to bring about peace. Now, I don't know, man. We can sort of bicker and argue. Let's not bicker and argue over who killed who and who killed who. If you know what film that's from, let me know in the chat, and we'll give you some Donald Trump mints. That's right. We got a pack of Donald Trump mints, don't we, Isaac? We got them from Greens in Palm Beach. Then we're going to be talking about censorship and sort of USAID's a continuing role in censorship. And there's some mad stuff about vaccines. Essentially, the mainstream media are talking about links between mRNA vaccines and cancer. And we've got a brilliant story from the UK about, I can't even believe I'm telling you this, that Moderna offered children teddy bears in order to participate in clinical trials. It's like Big Pharma, not satisfied with peddling bad medicine, are trying to mimic the actual child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in like paedophile medicine. Lollipops, take your jab, baby. It's pedo medicine now. No wonder there's so many children missing all across the world and child trafficking at extraordinary all-time highs because it seems like there's some weird, dark stuff going on. And I'm at Mar-a-Lago participating in an event today. As you know, I'm here. Mike Tyson is here somewhere. It's an extraordinary day. Let's just get into some of the silliness. Firstly, back in my beloved homeland, the United Kingdom, David Tennant, brilliant actor who played Doctor Who memorably and excellently, hosted the BAFTA Awards. That's like the British equivalent of the Oscars. Now, let me know in the comments and chat if you care anymore about these galas and events that offer accolades to people for sort of dressing up and performing. I don't mean derisory and dismissive about actors, because, think about an amazing film like Godfather or a brilliant film like Arthur. I mean the original one with Dudley Moore. Dudley Moore, God rest your eternal soul, you brilliant, brilliant genius. The main reason I did that movie, Arthur, by the way, is because Dudley Moore had done it. And, he died, I think, in Palm Beach. He kind of lived around here somewhere. Anyway, let's get into what I consider to be the dark side of entertainment. It's continuing politicisation. It's ongoing sort of agitation. And my mate Gareth, who, Gareth, of course, who prepares this content, he says, watching David Tennant, it's like this speech is from 10 years ago. It's like, look at this. Ask yourself this question. We can do this together because I'm watching this clip for the first time like you. Does David Tennant appeared to have calibrated these ideas? The Biden administration was inept. They botched Afghanistan. They're clearly in the hock and pay of massive financial interests, global corporatist power. Since then, Bobby Kennedy has ultimately left the Democrat Party and is now been appointed as Secretary of Health and Human Services. This is an extraordinary and staggering revelation. That since then, Tulsi Gabbard has become a member of the Trump administration. See if these facts have been calibrated into David Tennant's perspective. And I say this with respect to David Tennant. He's a good actor. But let's watch this together and see what we think. And let me know what you think about that kind of general Hollywood elite condemnation of populist politicians who can make, I think, a legitimate claim to be more efficiently representing the interests of ordinary people than the kind of globalists who mask themselves in the lacquer of woke.
Let's make some noise for the sublime, the brutalist. A film about incredible architecture. In fact, it's the boldest architecture in film this year, apart from Donald Trump's hair in The Apprentice. Donald Trump, of course, he says he hasn't seen the...
Pretty weak joke, because, oh man, I had that spat, didn't I, with Donald Trump years ago, because I was making a documentary with Oliver Stone, the brilliant filmmaker, and Donald Trump had let Oliver Stone use all of these buildings to make, I think, Wall Street 2. Anyway, I made a bunch of jokes about Donald Trump, those kind of jokes, hair, sort of lame, frankly, jokes, not good enough. Anyway, that was like 10 years, that was 15 years ago, and they were lame then. That's not a good enough joke. If you're gonna have to, because all it is that's, I would call it a satsphatic and impersonative humour. And also David Tennant's hair don't look great in that either, does it? It looks sort of kind of like sort of too much lacquered, sort of like a loaf, like some sort of slick loaf.
He hasn't seen The Apprentice because it's a 15, it's not on Nickelodeon.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Like Donald Trump watches Nickelodeon. That's not good enough. That's not. Also, by the way, at this point when you're insulting Donald Trump, you're insulting the United States of America because he is the president of the United States of America, brought to power under an extraordinarily popular mandate. You can't, the electoral vote, the college vote, the Senate, Congress. I mean, like this is a person that, and also if you spend time in America, and obviously I'm here right now, like the people that love Donald Trump, they're not all, I'm all right. It's not all sundown town. It's not all racists. It's like good, decent American people. You go to a cheesecake factory anywhere in America, these people love Donald Trump. So what you're saying is, I hate working class people. And because people can't say I hate working class people, and I'm not claiming that David Tennant didn't grow up working class or whatever, maybe he did. I feel like his dad was maybe a minister of some kind. I'm not saying that. I'm saying culturally, ways of condemning ordinary people have become sort of very insidious and very deft. It happened in my country around Brexit. Oh, those racists, they're not racist. They're northern. They're not racist. They're working class. They're not racist. They're concerned about what's happening to their country. They're not racist. They're sick and tired of being spoken down to. They're not racist. They're sick and tired of people representing the interests of big business and global corporations while simultaneously condemning them. So when you come out and make jokes about Donald Trump, you've got to be a bit better than he watches Nickelodeon or his hair looks like shredded wheat. That was my one 15 years ago. And people don't even get that reference because they don't have shredded wheat in America. It's a completely wasted joke. What you've got to do is you've got to try and understand what's happening. And people don't want to understand what's happening. People feel disconnected from the institutions of government, like the judiciary, the electoral process itself, both of the political parties, both of them, and from the media, precisely because now when people say we're going to war to protect democracy, they mean a set of institutions. They don't mean electoral representative democracy. They don't mean that anymore. Isn't it baffling to recall that it was the Republican Party that fought to end slavery while the Democrat Party fought to cling on to it? No wonder they work so hard at woke, because their policies are a joke. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat, and let's see how much further David Tennant can get with this sort of ribald, insipid, lukewarm milquetoast mockery of Trump.
See? Donald Trump. I'm worried. I've said his name 3 times. It's like Beetlejuice. I've summoned him. Talking of villains.
Oh no, it's not good enough, is it? It's just not good enough. You're going to need more than that up your kilt, mate. Like, what's really fascinating to me is that this condemnation, broadly speaking, is being offered as a kind of attack and discharge at what they, I reckon in that room, regard as elitist power. But what are they actually celebrating? Making like expensive movies that are about marginal and peripheral tastes. If actually what you care about is the populare, the vulgare, the folk, the people of the land, there's some issues they really care about. Like, for example, in the United Kingdom, I don't think the majority of people want to escalate the war between Ukraine and Russia and fund it. But that's what Keir Starmer is pledging to do. So power now in the UK, Donald Trump ain't UK power. Keir Starmer is UK power. And what Keir Starmer is doing is threatening to send British men and women to die in an unwinnable conflict that could be resolved. Well, who is it that's holding peace talks now? Oh yeah, Donald Trump. Ooh, that terrible baddie. He's the villain naranja. He's orange, you see. You know, you're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to dig deeper and go further, man, to get anywhere on that. You're gonna have to investigate. What is it that has made him the most influential and popular president in living memory? I don't know. Well, how far do you want to go back? Reagan? JFK? How far do you want to go back? Obama? Oh, let's talk about that dude and how he ran things while he was in office. Let's talk about the 2008 crash. Let's talk about all of the drone strikes. Let's talk about the deception. Let's talk about the fact that he had cages. The whole class that Tennant's speech represents is dead. It's a dead class. It's a dead ideology. It's broken and it's over. And me, like you, I don't know if populism and nationalism and a kind of emergent sort of folk culture is going to save the world, but it is better than what they were offering. It's better. That's the problem. They were a different type of insidious imperialist, globalist, corporatist movement that masked itself in the pretense that they cared for ordinary working people or minorities. They didn't pretend to care about working people. They pretended to care about minorities. But they don't care, do they? And we've learned so much about the true nature of even social democratic forms of social care, let alone sort of Soviet-style socialism. Social democracy leads inevitably to centralised control and authoritarianism. What they've created now is a system where, in the UK, whatever party you vote for, you're going to vote for war. I'm going to get into that a bit later. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, I got excited. Let's finish off this thing about tenants.
We've had many this year.
David Tennant. Maybe you should drink a few cans of it. That's a British joke. Tennent's is a super strength lager enjoyed by homeless people, 9%. I used to drink it when I was an alcoholic, 22 years clean and sober now, thanks to the Heavenly Father. All right, Delta. Let's not go on a Delta plane unless you're insane in the membrane, whether you're watching this on X or YouTube. Sorry, Delta. I probably have to get a Delta soon, and I don't want to irritate them. But, I mean, it's just when you watch it, like, blessedly, I pray no one has died as a result of this. But have you seen this thing? I mean, do you remember when Delta were just crashing everywhere? Oh, no, Boeing, wasn't it? It was Boeing. Is this a Boeing? It's flipping around, it's rolling around like a sausage.
Everything, drop it. Come on.
That guy touched that woman's ass. That was unnecessary.
Don't take that video. That's on right. Holy fuck.
It's so insane. That's so insane, isn't it? That is the nightmare. Because, like, you know, when there's turbulence, you're like, oh no, this is it. I'm going to die. I feel like if you have to reach out and touch another bit of the aeroplane, that's like, I don't like that. You know, when you have to go, no! brace yourself, and you run the whole thing in your head. Oh my God, my kids, my children. Like, if you're actually on a beach, like, they're on a beach, man, isn't it? Is that a beach they're on? Oh, there's snow. Oh, that's even worse. This is Grand Theft Auto.
Holy fuck.
Sir, would you mind your language? Children could be watching this plane crash.
Holy fuck. Oh.
Sir, I'm not going to ask you again. Would you mind your language? You please sit back in your seat, sir. Your seat's upside down. Oh. But anyway, mind your language.
Fuck. Oh my fucking God.
Oh my God, that is what you're doing it. Oh my fucking, because that person's happy to be alive. I mean, that's a broadcast live from the afterlife. I mean, imagine the feelings you're having when that thing's going down. Oh no, this is it. Oh, I'm a good person. Sorry, God for everything I've done. Forgive me. No atheists on a Delta, baby. No atheists on a Delta.
My fucking God. Yo, I was just on this fucking plane.
Look at that plane all upside down and embarrassed. Oh, sorry. I'm sniffing the air. I'm sniffing the air.
Fucking plane. Oh my God. Yo, I was just on this fucking plane. Holy fuck.
Oh man, that's so heavy. Oh, that's so heavy. I'm never getting on that. Like B.A. Baracus, I ain't getting on no plane, fool. You sucker. There you go, visual pun on top of everything else. I'm Russell Brand. This is Stay Free with Russell Brand. We are live at Mar-a-Lago. You might be watching this on X. You might be reading about this on Wikipedia. You might be on YouTube, who do deals with governments to censor free speech advocates. And I'm in Mar-a-Lago today to win an award for free speech. I think it's basically just a way of getting people to, I mean, you know, I don't, what do you think? I mean, no, I'm grateful for the... I don't know. Hey, you can't take, like, if you don't take BAFTAs seriously, don't take no awards seriously. Don't take, I'll tell you what's serious. Going anywhere on a Delta plane. That's what's serious, baby. All right, man. Okay, so wherever you're watching us, we're in Mar-a-Lago now. I wish you could join us, but the security's pretty tight. I've got to tell you, they nearly didn't let Isaac and Jake in. All right, guys, should we play a quick commercial? We'll be right back after this important message. Senolytics are the biggest discovery for promoting healthy aging. The aging process obviously isn't our friend unless I suppose, there's eternal life. But while we're here, we want to be energetic and productive. That's why I use Qualia Senolytic with science-backed ingredients that have helped me feel, I would say, 15 years younger in a matter of just months. Everyone accumulates senescent cells, known as zombie cells. These senescent cells are old and worn out and not fulfilling a useful function for our health, but they take up space and nutrients from our healthy cells. Qualia Senolytic removes zombie cells and allow healthy cells to thrive. Resist aging at the cellular level. Try Qualia Senolytic. Go to QUALIALife.com/brand for up to, get this, 50% off, and use the code BRAND at the checkout for an additional 15% off. Try it now. Qualia Senolytic is also available at select GNC locations near you. Take it. Just 2 days a month. There's a link in the description. Who don't want to feel 15 years younger and get rid of them zombie cells? Hey, I'm at Mar-a-Lago. That is the Mar in Mar-a-Lago out that way. Nice. It looks pretty good, man. It's pretty distracting. In my mind, I sort of keep thinking Donald Trump's going to walk in. Like, I can imagine, I don't know why, like I'm imagining it happening in my mind. Hello, like, so I don't know why. Is it going to happen? That'd be so mad if that happens. I'm in his room. Yeah, no, he's around here, man. It's pretty interesting. NBC News, you see that mad Delta plane flip, rock and roll, mad, weird, awful plane crash. Thankfully, no one died. Praise the Heavenly Father. NBC are using that plane crash that happened under Canadian air traffic control to sort of blame Trump for something or another. That's that kind of ongoing derangement, man, that we saw at that BAFTA award.
I did want to, underscore, to pick up on the conversation you were just having, though, in terms of the recent string of aviation incidents, Tom. This is going to yet again raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. Now, this is a Canadian air traffic control tower, and this is under Canadian authority once it crosses the border. And yet, as you know, there has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President Trump's effort to trim down the federal workforce. And yet, as you also
Great. That's good propaganda. Though, because of the trimming down of the federal workforce, Canadian air traffic control is being affected. What? Because of Doge? That's what that was it? Well, okay. And how does that affect the Trump's audacious claim to colonize Canada? Oh, wait, no. Then he would be in charge of that. Okay. It's extraordinary, really. Look, we've got some bunch of crazy stories for you to get through with you today. In a minute, we're going to be talking about US. Ukraine, the suggestion, oh man, he's the art of the deal president, isn't he? So he's talking about how the US could support Ukraine in exchange for rare minerals. Let me know in the comments and chat if you want to see that story. Let me know in the comments and chat if you want to see us talking about these potential peace deals. A fascinating story that's going under the radar, not with the Stay Free team, though. We at the Stay Free team are determined to bring you stories that will help you to get a better perspective, a perspective that will hopefully help you to understand that we have to unify, we have to take personal responsibility for our lives, and we have to recognize that as politics shifts and alters, so must we. We have to get ourselves in a position to be empowered in our own lives. You can't sort of sit there like bickering nitwits, braying. You have to take responsibility for yourself. Now, let me know. Yo, Isaac, have a look at the chat. What do people want to see me talk about first and explore first, with the great support of everyone working at the Stay Free team? Luke, who does our social media, Massey, who cuts this stuff up, Isaac there, who's directing the show, beloved Gareth, who you know well, and Jake, who's leading the whole thing. Let me know what you want to see first. UK, Ukraine, because this represents a massive split. This is where, like, whoever you vote for in the UK, you're voting to potentially send troops to support this war that the US now don't want no business with. Or do you want to hear that US support could continue in exchange for minerals? That's another component of this. Or do you want to hear about Trump's new peace agreement with China and Russia to mutually draw down military budgets by 50%? I mean, that's epochal. That's what we've titled our show around today, live from Mar-a-Lago. So we'll definitely be covering it all at some point But let me know. US, Ukraine, UK, Ukraine, or Trump and peace. You let me know in the comments and chat, particularly if you're watching us on Locals, and you that means that you support us there and you get access to all of our additional content. Or if you're on Rumble Premium, and if you're not on Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now. You get additional content from me, from Glenn Greenwald, from Bongino, from Crowder. It's a great little service. Plus, you get ad-free. You know how annoying it is when you get programmatic ads. Yeah, US and Ukraine. Let's start with that, and then we're gonna do some more stuff. Okay, Trump is the art of the deal president. Is it possible that the US will support Ukraine in exchange for mineral resources, beautiful minerals? Let's get into that together.
So we're getting security on our money. We're going to have it secured by, they have rare earth, and they have oil and gas, and they have a lot of other things, and we're asking for security on our money.
So does it mean you are not sending any more
They've agreed to it. Ukraine has agreed to it.
Does it mean you are not sending any more aid to Ukraine?
No, we are, but we want it secured, and the money is going to be secured.
When will the U.S. stop sending funding? When will the U.S. stop sending funding?
Because if we didn't do that, then Putin would say he won. We're the thing that's holding it back, and frankly, we'll go as long as we have to go, because we're not going to let the other happen.
I feel like it's like no more bullshit. That's what I feel like when I'm watching him. Like up until recently, it was like, it's bullshit when you see Joe Biden going, if we send troops, that's World War III for Christ's sake. And then they facilitate and sanction the use of long-range missiles within Crimea. Like, you know, we ain't dumb no more. We got immediate and instantaneous communication. And that gives us the ability to critique and observe both the new and emergent Trump administration in a kind of very novel and unique format now. This ain't Trump 2016. This is Trump 2020. What are you in? 2025. Someone should name a project after that. We're like, this is Trump 2025. This is Trump plus Tulsi, plus JD, plus Elon, plus Vivek, and plus my man, Bobby Kennedy. We have to be able to articulate these distinctions and recognize what globalist imperialist bureaucracy was leading us towards. Just to unpack that a little, what is NATO, really? What is the benefit and what is the advantage of NATO? How can you say that? Without NATO, NATO's been like a father to you. Without the North Atlantic Trade Organization, you'd be speaking German right now. I don't know so much anymore. It seems to me that it's a racket. It's a racket, baby. Let's have a look at what the British media are talking about here. Oh, my God, that's so far away. All right, so Donald Trump's demand for $500 billion payback from Ukraine goes far beyond U.S. control over the country's critical minerals. It covers everything from ports and infrastructure to oil and gas and the larger resource base of the country. The terms of the contract that landed at Volodymyr Zelensky's office a week ago amount to the U.S. economic colonization of Ukraine. But what does joining NATO represent? The bureaucratic globalist colonization of Ukraine. You can't attack Donald Trump from a place of self-righteousness when all he's doing is a version of what they were trying to do bureaucratically through a more conventional form of economic nationalized imperialism. By nationalized, I mean the interests of the United States. Up until the election of Trump, it just seemed inevitable that we were going to see advancing globalism. The WHO have decided that everyone has to take this medicine. The WEF recommends that you have a chip placed under your skin. NATO have decided that your sons and daughters are going to die in a war. The World Bank have decided that we're going to increase inflation. You know, like now what it is this new sort of nationalized kind of old school imperialism. Oh man, can we secure this in my eyeline, mate? It's too far away from me. And look, when I let go of it, it slides off like that because of a tension of the cable. So can we, let's secure this here, because I'm not got very good eyesight, particularly not when staring into a light. So can we stabilize that there? It's probably a cable is pulling it back, is it? Can you get some slack in that and then stabilize it about there, if you don't mind? Thank you very much. Right, let's have a look at if you want to know about war, talk to a warmonger. Here's Lindsey Graham's take on this.
I think the main thing for me is that Ukraine has value. Literally has value. Right. So you can talk about democracy, and people love talking about democracy here, which is it's great to talk about democracy, but where were you in 2014 when they actually needed you? So Trump now sees Ukraine differently. Because the rare earth stuff. Oh, my God. I said, playing golf, These people are sitting on literally a gold mine.
What did he say?
What do you mean? I showed him a map.
Yeah.
Look. You know, everybody says Putin wants to reconstruct the Soviet Union and the Russian Empire.
You should have a map of the rare earth on the golf course?
Oh, not on the golf course.
But later.
Later, yeah. He's seen this. Look, this stuff is, that's one of the reasons the guys wanting to go into Ukraine is take their stuff. I mean, there's trillions of dollars of very valuable.
That's what I mean by no bullshit politics. Do you remember when it was like Kamala Harris and Biden? This is humanitarian. Putin's a war criminal. Won't somebody please think of the Ukrainian children? Trump, there's minerals over there. If we're going to continue our aid, we're going to secure it against those minerals. And we're going to start using their ports and we're going to use it as a bulwark against Russia. That's how we're going to negotiate. They were doing that anyway while lying about it. What they do, when I say they, I mean sort of like what you might call neoliberal, centralist, globalist, the political class, is say, oh, have you seen this image of some rubble in Kyiv? Doesn't it break your heart? And also, couldn't we make some money out of that and pretend to be helping people? It's no bullshit politics. Here's Lindsey Graham saying it always is ultimately going to be about dominion, minerals, resources, power. Stop pretending that it isn't.
Of very valuable rare earth minerals that he's trying to take by force. And I told President Trump, that's not a good way to do business.
So you made Donald Trump a Ukraine hawk by showing him that map, huh?
Well, I don't know if he's a Ukraine hawk, but I made him understand that if you let Putin get away with this, grabbing stuff at not his by force, other people will start doing it.
If we don't take over, someone else will. Let's see how this ex-dude responds to it. Oh, what I like about this is it kind of offers us the analysis that Trump sees things in economic and business terms, i.e. the art of the deal. The land belongs to Russia, the resources belong to the United States, the debt belongs to the European Union, and the glory belongs to Ukraine. Trump's demand for a $500 billion payback from Ukraine goes far beyond US control over the country's critical minerals. It covers everything from ports and infrastructure to oil and gas. We touched on that a minute ago, didn't we? And the larger resource base of the country. Now, what's the claim that the detractors of Putin make? That, Putin, if he gets hold of Ukraine, is going to take over the whole of Europe. But what do we learn when we look at the origins of this conflict? That NATO had been slowly encircling Russia in breach of agreements with the former Soviet Union. Imperialism, colonialism, and power are the motives of everyone involved in this conflict. And in a sense, the bravery of the Ukrainian people is simply a sheath over imperialist interest. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat? Let's have a look at CNN because the legacy media now are even admitting that American support for this ongoing conflict is waning. We're live in Mar-a-Lago. We're going to stay with you for a little while longer, even if you're watching us on X or YouTube, even though you know that we want you to join us on Rumble and support us there. Let's have a look at CNN acknowledging that American people don't want to fund this war anymore. So a peace deal, which is something we'll be talking about a little later, is precisely what your country is demanding.
Holy Toledo. Look at this trend line here. U.S. support for
Holy Toledo, which is a thing that no one else ever says, but I'm going to mint that phrase.
Support for Ukraine is too much. Back when the war began, back in February of 2022, it was just 7%. Up like a rocket ship.
Why does he like numbers so much, this guy? Up like a rocket ship. Up like my little guy. When I see these numbers, I'm stiff as a board. I just went from 6 to midnight. That's a hell of a graph.
My goodness. Up now in February of 2025 to 41%. And the clear majority of Republicans, and of course Republicans are in charge of the U.S. government now, 62%.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember that.
Now, 62% of Republicans say that the U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. What a difference from just 3 years ago. I can remember, John, all those backyards in the United States with those Ukrainian flags. Far fewer of them today as Americans' opinions on Ukraine.
I like the way John was revealed there. He was there all along, John. I remember 3 years ago. Pan out, pan out. There's John, baby. We're making news at CNN.
Americans' opinions on Ukraine have changed dramatically.
What about opinions of the Ukrainian president?
Right. You know, obviously.
But what about this? Have you got another graph? You better believe I've got another graph. This one, I'm going to nudge it with my nut.
Obviously, if you would expect changes amongst the public on feelings towards Ukraine, feelings towards
Feelings? You can't have a graph on feelings. That's so subjective. They're supposed to be the grown-up. They laugh at us on independent media. They laugh at you, us, because look, you know, my collar's wonky or whatever. They go, look at him. His collar's not facing the right way. He's at the seaside. That's not how you do news. I've got a graph. Then they produce a graph on people's feelings, which clearly sexually arouses them.
Towards Zelensky have changed also dramatically. Look at this. Confident Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Back in 2022, it was the clear majority, 72% through the floor.
He loves doing that, doesn't he? He loves underlining some of his finger like he's our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ protecting the adulterous woman. And then, wait, like that, hey. This isn't the news.
Through the floor.
He's that. I like him, actually. I want to do a show with him. He brings a lot of pizzazz. Come to Mar-a-Lago. Holy Toledo, we're at Mar-a-Lago. We're going to have a tomato and a potato in Mar-a-Lago. At Mar-a-Lago. Holy crap, look at this. Here's a graph about how I felt this morning. I woke up, stiff as a board. Then I look out the window, what's the mailman? Him shaking his fist at the door. Oh no, that's Mrs. Me. She's down in the dumps now. See another graph? I'm back in business, baby.
Through the floor. Through the floor by 2024, just 48% of Americans say that they're confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. And GOP confidence has also plummeted dramatically. Now the clear majority.
Zelensky, we've got a graph here that says Zelensky sounds too much like a Dalek from Doctor Who. Let's listen to a Dalek. Exterminate, exterminate. And let's listen to Zelensky. Give us your money, give us your taxes. Too much like it. And here is Doctor Who himself, David Tennant. Hey, do you know what I noticed? That Donald Trump is a little bit orange, isn't he? He's a little bit orange. Hey, he probably watches programs like children watch, like Nickelodeon. Everyone in this room might be a paedophile. There's all these weird paedophile rings. What's going on with Diddy? Who let Ricky Gervais back in this gig, motherfucker?
Clear majority of Republicans are not confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Really a real trend line, ones you rarely see in the American public when it comes to Ukraine and Zelensky. Confidence in both going down through the ground.
Look, some allies of President Trump have targeted Zelensky with harsh criticism over the last few years, and it could be that that's having...
Could be the harsh criticism. Harsh criticism, that causes consequences and costs. Yeah. So does military support in an unwinnable war against an armed nuclear superpower backed by KGB operative Vladimir Putin. He ain't no joke. Like, what I've started to learn is, you know, your intuition about when you sort of feel like, I don't think you should go to war with Russia. Haven't they got nuclear weapons right at the beginning of all this craziness? That's right. And then the news comes on and tells you, you shouldn't believe that. And anyway, they're only peacekeeping forces. You're right. You're actually right. They've been lying to you all along, your whole life. They've been lying to you, manipulating you, dulling down your spirit, making you doubt yourself, making you doubt your intuition, making you doubt who you are, making you doubt what's right, what's wrong. Is it okay to love your country? Is it okay to love your family? Is it okay to love women? Is it okay to make jokes? No! None of it's okay.
It could be that that's having some impact here.
Absolutely. The Republican establishment, the Republican electorate has moved as the Republican establishment and Republican leaders have moved on.
All right, let's talk about the idea of a peace deal. And again, the way you ask this matters, but go ahead.
The way you ask it is important, so we can talk about this a little bit. So the poll question essentially is, do you support a Russia-Ukraine negotiated peace deal? The vast majority of Americans, this is what they want. 78%.
Want to negotiate peace deal. So there you go. If you agreed that you lived in a true republic or an electoral democracy, the will of the people would matter. What you, I reckon, want is to feel that your leaders are servants that are the representative of the national will, the national psyche in some way. Maybe it's impossible to have a national psyche because it's too vast of an enterprise, too big, 330 million people. The idea that there could be one composite psyche derived from such a large population is possibly preposterous. And if that is true, then you're going to have to federalize the United States once again and look at the country's origins and break it apart and decentralize wherever possible. But in any event, at this point, you're going to have a massive military, aren't you? And what you want probably is a leader that speaks in plain and practical terms, in terms of deals and let's cut expenditure on missiles or sort of armaments generally by 50%. I mean, this is an extraordinary pledge, and we'll be covering that in a minute. Let's have a look at Glenn Greenwald, who's also a Rumble contributor. If you get Rumble Premium, you get additional content from me, from Glenn Greenwald, from Bongino, from Crowder. So join us over there wherever you're watching us. If you're watching us now on X or YouTube or wherever you're watching us, here's Glenn Greenwald reacting to this. Holy Toledo. Yeah, there's that guy. American support for Ukraine has plummeted. Holy Toledo. I'm going to start saying that. The history of American war since World War II, says Greenwald, almost without exception, is that the population gets manipulated to support the latest war based on a tsunami of war propaganda that plays on their most primal emotions. Then, at some point, they come in large numbers to regret it. Well, that does seem like a pretty reasonable appraisal of war. Don't you need precisely a president that's going to see it as a deal? What's the best possible outcome for everyone? And even if you hate Donald Trump on account of his hair or his orangeness or whatever's been projected at you from the media, you have to recognize that that is a favorable trajectory rather than the peculiar globalist pursuit of a military victory over Russia. Russia! Napoleon, defeated. Hitler, defeated. The West, potentially defeated. Get a grip, do a deal. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. We are live from Mar-a-Lago. It's going to be a crazy day. If you're a member of Rumble Premium, we are going long and we'll be doing some inside reporting from this beautiful, beautiful Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember when the FBI invaded and took them boxes? They came to my Mar-a-Lago home, beautiful Mar-a-Lago home. It's really funny. We're actually here. It's really mad. It's really, really weird and interesting. Anyway, let's have a quick message from some of our commercial partners, guys. We'll be back in a second. Free speech is under attack, but Rumble Premium refuses to back down. That's why you should use Rumble Premium. Support content creators like me and him and him and him and him. I'm going to say and her, but is there one? And her? Oh. That's good. And her. With major advertisers conspiring to pull their dollars, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turn their back, claiming Rumble had a right-wing culture. We're not here to fit a mold. We're here to defend free expression. To strengthen this mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits. Grow up. For viewers and creators. It's more than a subscription. It's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. Join Rumble Premium. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan using the promo code BRAND. Visit rumble.com/premium/brand and claim your discount today. Together we can turn the tide, whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching. Your support helps keep free speech alive. Go to rumble.com/premium/brand and use the code BRAND to get $10 off. Join Rumble Premium. Get on Rumble Premium. Use my code now. It helps me directly and financially. I'm saying hello to all of you watching me on Locals right now, all of you in the Rumble Premium chat. We are live from Mar-a-Lago this very evening. I'll be appearing at an event with Mike Tyson. I mean, Donald Trump is actually here. I mean, that's extraordinary, isn't it? Like, there's such a weird life. All right. Okay, let's get into it. Now, we're going to be with you wherever you're watching us. If you're watching us on X, YouTube, whatever, we're going to be with you for a little while longer. Then on Rumble Premium, we've got some brilliant stories to bring you about new revelations about vaccines, potential links between vaccines and cancer. Who would have imagined that? Everyone, ages ago, we talked about it publicly. I don't want to sound like David Icke or someone, but I told you that. I told you that. I told you that ages ago. But I only told you that because of the brilliant reporting of people like Asim Malhotra. Shout out to Asim Malhotra. We'll be talking about that story a little bit later. But first, the US and Donald Trump want peace between Ukraine and Russia, as well as a piece of the action. But what do the UK want under the audacious leadership of the new Churchill, Keir Starmer? War. We will fight them. We will fight them. I say we will fight them. You will fight them. I'm going to be in the gym working on these guys, the Widowmakers. Say hello to my little friends. We're going to be looking at Keir Starmer's fighting style and his claim that your sons and daughters, your loved ones, the bravest and best of you, should give their lives for what he believes in. Do you trust him that much? I don't. Let me know in the comments and chat. Rishi Sunak, former Prime Minister of the UK. He was the dude that was, he's Prime Minister, 5 Prime Ministers and 6 months ago. Good to see Britain leading on this one. We must ensure that any peace in Ukraine is permanent, not just a pause in the Russian Russian assault. As I said in Parliament last week, I told you, the government will have my support. Just like they all supported each other during the pandemic. Wasn't it curious? Keir Starmer backed Boris Johnson then. Because, of course, it was a global and globalist event. And when I say globalist, what I mean is centralised, unelected forces subverting the will of the people. No wonder we're seeing emergent nationalist populism opposing that, because if you're going to have a country, you're going to have a country. People don't want globalist control. Wouldn't it be lovely to have a planet where we all agree that ultimately we have a shared interest, that all of us have one God that loves us, that cares for us? That would be lovely. Let's try and head in that direction. In the meanwhile, let's not yield to deceptive bureaucratic interests that might as well be Satan. Britain braces for a $12 billion fat tax raid to fund defence spending. £12 billion is going to cost you, people of the UK. Are you all happy that your taxes go towards that? Are you happy that your taxes go towards funding the BBC, that's the licence fee that lie to you, that your taxes go towards funding an unwinnable war, and now it's going to cost the lives of brave and brilliant British people who value duty and sacrifice to the point that if you thought about it, it would make you cry, man. It would make you cry. Tony Benn, the great left-wing British politician, said, if there's enough money to kill people, there's enough money to save people. Like you in your country, where do you want to see your tax dollars going? To support people that are aggrieved and bereft because of disasters, hurricanes, fires, pick your disaster? Or do you want to continue to fund unwinnable corporate misadventure around the world? Let me know in the comments and chat. The people of the UK are the same. You've got to assume the people of Russia are the same. The people of Ukraine are the same. None of us want these wars. Wars should be an absolute last resort, probably against physical external aggressors that are actually invading. And you might say, well, that describes Putin exactly. But that means you've not heard of Jeffrey Sachs or Professor Mearsheimer, and you've not heard about NATO's expansionism, and you've not heard about the globalist attempts to occupy Ukraine via NATO. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat. That's certainly how I see it. So here's Keir Starmer. If you want to follow someone in a war, you want to know that they can punch their weight, right? That's what people used to say about, I don't know, Ulysses Grant, one of your great Civil War leaders, or George Washington, one of the founding fathers of your great nation, is them guys, they got stuck in there. Or Patton, or Monty, or Churchill, warlike leaders. Let's have a look if Keir Starmer has got the stones to back up his lyrics.
And just try and whack it. Yes, this is good. And again. That's it. And again. Try and breathe. Relax. That's it.
He actually doesn't understand the concept of punching. Like the concept of it. That is the sudden unleashing of energy through the fist and arm. I mean, you wouldn't even get to the point where you're saying, rotate through the hip or push off the back leg or rotate the knuckles. You'd have to say, what you're doing, that isn't called punching. And that's why I, Mike Tyson, am here at Mar-a-Lago tonight winning an award. Maybe we're going to get Iron Mike on the show a little later. It'd be great to have a chat with Mike Tyson on Rumble Premium. Oh, people are taking photographs. I feel Trump's moving. Trump's around. We're live at Mar-a-Lago. Something's going on here. The energy's crazy. But, oh no, look, there's Keir Starmer. Here he is giving a speech about how he wants your money and your beloved family members to die for his combinations, for his rabbit punch combos.
Good evening. I want to thank President Macron for convening us this evening. At stake is not just the future of Ukraine, it is an existential question for Europe as a whole.
It is an existential question, and this is that question. Do you believe that European forces should back Ukraine now that the US are saying that they are going to renegotiate the nature of their support for Ukraine? Are you willing for European nations and the US to part ways? Is that what you want? Because what is this West that we're claiming to support now? If you're saying that France and the UK and presumably some other European powers, even though Britain voted to leave the EU precisely because they didn't want their sovereignty subverted in the ways that it has been while members of the EU in a variety myriad ways. Of course, people that are higher up the class ladder are like, but I can't go to France as easily. I can't get baguettes with the same level of comfort. But ordinary people are starting to question what the EU is all about. Let me know in the comments and chat. Do you think this is a good thing? Are you in the UK? Do you want to pay taxes for this? Do you want their hand in your pocket taking your money? Do you like Macron? Is that what you like? Do you feel that there's a way that European forces back in the UK could overcome Russia? Do you think that? And do you want to back that up with the lives of British troops? Let me know in the comments and chat, because Keir Starmer believes that's the way to go. I don't know, man. I got a few doubts when I look at that guy. I got a lot of questions. I got questions. Have you got questions? Do you think with Trump saying we're going to negotiate a peace deal where we're going to continue our support in exchange for minerals, like the discourse is changing? They're meeting in Saudi Arabia now, Russian diplomats and US diplomats. Like the Europeans are saying, well, we're not doing that. You won't tell us what to do. Get David Tennant out to say that he's got a funny haircut. Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Man, you're in some serious trouble. If you want to start separating from US, even if they are US imperialist interests in this matter, pick a side, baby.
For Europe as a whole, and therefore vital for Britain's national interest. This is a once-in-a-generation moment for the collective security of our continent. Only a lasting peace in Ukraine that safeguards its sovereignty will deter Putin from further aggression in the future.
Basing that on? What's that based on? Did you see when Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin? Did you get the idea that he is going to go on a colonial rampage, that he has some sort of supreme vision of Mother Russia that's going to expand? When has Russia ever actually done that? Under the Soviet Union, of course, there was a sort of a spread in many, what we regard as the Eastern Bloc, but the US imperialist and UK imperialist forces participated in that, in the carving up of the nation after the defeat of the Nazis, where the Russians and the Americans and the British fought together to liberate Europe, to end the horrors of the Holocaust. Now, I reckon there are deeper, ulterior narratives to investigate there, because I'm, not a naive person anymore. I've had the shit kicked out of me by life enough times now to know to not trust them on anything. And I don't trust them on this. Do you seriously believe that this is a once-in-a-generation moment where the UK and France have to part ways from the United States of America to support Ukraine in a war against Russia? Where is he? I hope at some point in this speech, in a minute, Keir Starmer's going to go, and we've got a plan. We've got a plan in the event that Putin uses nuclear weapons, particularly now that Putin and Trump are directly involved, it seems, in their own discourse, and might come up with some deal. And they might go, yeah, do what you want in Britain. Them guys are rude.
Now, recent statements by the US administration should not come as a surprise.
Makes me mad. It makes me mad enough to box. I should put on my gloves and I will fisticuff those Americans. Well, I won't. We'll get brave, brilliant young British lives squandered. But I'll tell you now, mate. I'll tell you. I had an AIDS test for a moment like this. I didn't put a Q-tip down my pee-hole for nothing. I'm taking my jacket. I'm rolling my sleeves up. I'm pulling my skin back. I tell you, I don't care how many British kids die. This guy.
President Trump has long expressed the wish for Europe to step up and meet the demands of its own security, that he wants to get a lasting peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine. So today's informal meeting of European leaders was a vital first step in responding to that challenge. On defence, it's clear the US is not going to leave NATO. But we Europeans will have to do more. The issue of burden sharing is not new, but it is now pressing. And Europeans will have to step up, both in terms of spending and the capabilities that we provide.
Oh my God. Spending and capabilities. That's euphemism for our armed forces that you're funding. Your money. As Tony Benn said, if there's money to kill people, there's money to save people. Are you in the UK right now? Is it going well over there? You having a good time? It's going well, is it? You enjoy it. Do you want to spend some money on a war? Your money. Like when you go to work, you spend your life, your waking life, your sweat, your toil, your blood. You want to fund a war that guy thinks is a good idea. That guy. And also Rishi Sunak, the guy before him. Oh, and also Boris Johnson, the guy before him. Almost as if there's some sort of agenda that's able to traverse the political vicissitudes, isn't it? Like, oh, I vote for Boris Johnson. I get a war. I get to spend my taxes on a war between Ukraine and Russia. So I voted for Keir Starmer, and I get to spend my taxes, more taxes actually, on a war between Ukraine and Russia. Thank God for freedom, Lord. Thank God for the freedom of these Decepticons, to use the term from Transformers,
that we provide. On Ukraine, we're at the very early stage of the process. Europe must play its role. And I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground alongside others.
This is ridiculous, outrageous, appalling. If you're watching me on X right now, let me know on X. Are you English? Are you paying taxes? Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? That's Keir Starmer, who you don't like anyway. That's Keir Starmer, Southpaw, the murder of them little girls. That's Keir Starmer, immigration. That's Keir Starmer, council tax. That's Keir Starmer. I had to have some vocal lessons during the pandemic when you lot were missing births and funerals and potentially taking medication that might be linked to a rise in cancer. Now he's got some big idea that we're going to depart from the United States of America and start backing Macron in a war against Putin. Are you serious? Are you serious? Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about that. You're going to back that guy? Let's have a look at him in the gym again. Let's have a look at him in the gym. This is who's talking to you. This is who wants your sons and daughters to die. This is who's the man that's got his hand in your pocket.
And just try and whack it. Yes, this is good. And again. That's it. And again. Try and breathe. Relax. That's it.
Notice they're wearing masks because that was during the pandemic. Do you know that those masks were basically bullshit? You know that now, right? You know that the 6 feet were bullshit? You know the drugs were not clinically trialed against transmission? You know that, right? You know that they're not yet thoroughly investigating any potential causal links between those vaccines and cancer? You know that they've had to admit that myocarditis was caused, whether it's the Johnson & Johnson that had to be removed, the BioNTech Pfizer jab. Man, we've been lied to. We've been tricked. Don't let them lead you into war. Don't let them charge you for their leadership. How dare they? These people are meant to be our servants, your servants. You sometimes will yield to leadership when you sense the aura of greatness, or at least robustness, or at least some kind of raw power. But these people, come on. You can't follow them into a war. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat. What's going to happen when I try to go back to the clip I was in previous to that, Isaac? Because so I just press play? It's going to do the boxing again. Click the number that I was on. Excuse me for a sec, dude.
Alongside others, if there is a lasting peace agreement. But there must be a US backstop, because a US security guarantee is the only way to effectively deter Russia.
Backstop. Now, don't use a cricket metaphor on the brink of a global war. A cricket metaphor.
We need a backstop. I'll tell you what we're going to need against Putin and his nuclear arsenal. A wicket-keeper.
From attacking Ukraine again. So I will go to Washington next week to meet President Trump and to discuss what we see as the key elements of a lasting peace. I spoke to President Zelensky on Friday and will do so again in coming days. And we envisage...
You're right. People in England are actually sick and tired of the way their country is being run. People in Scotland, people in Wales, people in the North Part Island, they're sick and tired of how that dude's running their country. There's got to be some radical changes of focus. Never mind going around meeting Donald Trump and going to meet Zelensky. You focus on what's going on in the UK. People are deeply concerned about immigration. People are deeply concerned about rising crime. People are deeply concerned about their taxes. Agriculture is exploding into near perpetual protest in the streets of London because they're being charged a tax that's going to ruin their lives and their business model. You stay away from Washington, mate. Get yourself down London. Get yourself down London. Do your job. Do your job. There's a word of advice live from Mar-a-Lago, baby. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. What we're essentially discussing is a fissure between US interests and European interests, which in fact has revealed the trajectory of what we might call corporate globalism and its militaristic agenda, because they can no longer depend upon US support in the same way they could under Biden. So now there's maneuvering going on, and we're starting to see the true shape, the silhouette of global corruption exposed, the shadow on the wall, as well as the writing on the wall. You let me know who you back in the comments and chat if it comes to a war between Macron, Keir Starmer, and Vladimir Putin's almighty Russia. Or let me know if you might consider negotiating some sort of peace deal that allows dignity and sovereignty in some way for Ukrainian people and somehow helps that country to get back on its feet after this needless, senseless war that NATO certainly participated in the escalation of by inviting Ukraine to join in the first place and then facilitating ongoing breaches in territories that Putin declared untouchable. Maybe listen to that dude when he says there's a red line. I don't know. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. If you're watching us on X, if you're watching us on YouTube, remember, get Rumble Premium. If you use the code BRAND, you get it at a super bargain price. You get additional content from me, Glenn Greenwald, Crowder, Bongino, all of them people, and Kim Iverson. That's who we saw in it in my advert there. That was pretty funny. Now, I want to thank everyone in Team Stay Free for this special. We're still at Mar-a-Lago. Go over to Locals if you're a Locals member, or Rumble Premium. We're going to continue talking about, well, we've got so much to talk about, man. Censorship stories. US aid was being used on censorship. The left and right agree about that. We're going to be talking about vaccines. We've got so much more to bring you. So click the link in the description, baby, and we'll tell you all about that. And if you're not a member of Locals yet or Rumble Premium, you won't have seen this kind of brilliant conversation that I have with the likes of Paul Kingsnorth. These are some of the theological and Christian conversations I have that I love. Join us over on Rumble and Rumble Premium now.
I can't remember when this happened, but I had a situation in which I was in my garden and I just thought, I've been looking for years and years for what the truth is. I know there's something going on. I think there's someone bigger than me, but I don't know what the hell it is. And I remember I got down on my knees in the garden just out here. And I said, okay, God,